To most of us, snakes shout danger. And that's a valuable instinct. Every year they bite over 5 million people. Many have lethal venom. Others, primal aggression. A handful have both. Which snake is the most dangerous? It's the one in front of you. What are your chances? We'll tally them up and tell you. Vast African jungle canopy above. Below, perfectly camouflaged danger. She hasn't moved a muscle in months. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. She's very, very hungry. At last. Her strike, pure precision. Her fangs, lethal. Bigger than all other vipers, gaboons are the heavyweights in their family, with fangs to match. 2 inches long, the longest of any snakes, with massive venom glands. They can inject 600 milligrams of venom in one bite. Only 35 will kill a human. Their venom is a fast-acting complex array of toxins. Some clot the blood, causing organ failure. Others attack the nervous system, the muscular tissue, and the heart, enough to kill you in 2 hours. And natural prey in seconds. Exactly as it's meant to. But bites on humans are rare, because gaboon vipers occupy some of the most remote and uninhabited forests in Africa. They're rarely seen, and fatal bites on humans in the wild remain unrecorded. But kill, they do. Pet snakes, owned and handled in exotic collections. Without antivenom and emergency medical treatment, death is certain. So how do they score? One bite injects massive volumes of venom, but drop for drop, theirs is less potent than many other vipers. Aggressive? No. They're unusually placid, even when being handled. Do they bite? Not often. Antivenom is available, and no deaths have been reported for years. The gaboon viper's on the board, but other deadly contenders dangle in the treetops. These snakes are probably the most notorious on the continent, but their reputation precedes them. That's because in Africa, if it's green, it must be a green mamba, which works for harmless little bush snakes. Being mistaken for a deadly species has its perks. Enemies don't hang around. And humans are terrified of anything green. A bush snake bite might bleed, but they've got nothing on mambas. Very dangerous snakes. Why? Their potent neurotoxic venom is designed to stop birds flying off. A bite from one of these snakes can kill a human within an hour. So how do we tell harmless from hazardous? First off, know where you are. Africa is home to 3 species of green mambas. The eastern green mamba is found only along these coastlines. The Jamisons across Central Africa, and the West African green mamba is only found here. Next, know your mambas. The eastern species is bright green, with the odd yellow scale. The Jamisons and West African green mambas are mottled and duller, their scales edged with black. They're big, too. Some over 8 feet long. Agile. And so fast they seem to fly through the treetops. Legend has them dropping from trees to attack victims walking below. So if you live in green mamba territory, beware. They're up there. But only watching. Shy, elusive, incredibly well camouflaged. They stick to the treetops, minding their own business. Usually. Can these snakes score on deadly venom alone? Maybe. But they keep to themselves. So, bites are rare. But almost always fatal. Shooting them straight to top spot. For now. Africa's biggest snake. The python. As long as Michael Jordan is tall, ×3, and just as heavy. Possibly the world's most aggressive constrictor. With 100 or more teeth. Like fish hooks. But it's not their bite that kills. They squeeze their prey to death. From rodents to crocodiles. And sometimes humans. They're ambush predators. But if prey is scarce, they'll go hunting. And they're not afraid of people. She goes unnoticed. Navigating dark spaces under your house is no problem for a python. Because they've got a powerful built-in thermal imaging system. Pit organs around her mouth detect temperature change and send signals to the brain that create images of her surroundings. Or potential prey. But she's not here to hunt. She makes herself at home. Why? "70 days later, it's clear. Her babies have hatched. Ready to make their own way in the world. Almost 40 baby constrictors fan out. They shed their skins for the first time and head out to look for their first meals. Aggressive from birth. But they are not the problem. Mother is hungry too. Inch by inch, the python's quarry doesn't realize the danger. Until it's too late. Striking fast and clamping down. Rows of teeth hold the victim in place. Humans have around 800 muscles. Pythons have up to 10,000. She doesn't have venom, so she puts them all to good use. Cutting off her victim's blood supply, stopping its heart, killing the brain. But now they know she's here, her human hosts want her gone. A bunny is one thing. A sleeping child? Quite another. But will the python squeeze pip the toxic pinprick of the green mamba? Some of the meanest constrictors on Earth. They're always ready to strike and bite readily. But with no venom, nor much of a taste for humans. Their bites don't prove fatal, like the green mambas do. But green mambas aren't the only species trading venom in Africa's treetops. Meet the boomslang. It's got tiny fangs compared to snakes like the Gaboon viper or the green mamba. Placed right at the back of their mouths. To bite, they sometimes open almost 180 degrees and chew in their venom. Boomslangs don't have huge venom glands, but this venom is like nothing else on Earth. Moving through the treetops requires a sleek profile. So they go with quality rather than quantity. Boomslang venom is drop for drop the deadliest in Africa. And it ranks as the most venomous rear-fanged snake in the world. This is one species to avoid at all costs. But it's common and shares habitat with millions of people south of the Sahara. Boomslangs are also masters of disguise. Unusually for snakes. The males are bright and beautiful, but the females are dull and mottled by comparison. It's called sexual dimorphism. And the youngsters look a bit like vine snakes. With the greatest color variation of any species on the continent, they're difficult to identify. But for one feature, a proportionately large pair of eyes. A bite from a boomslang rocked the world of herpetology in the 1950s. Renowned for his expertise, with numerous species named after him, Carl P. Schmidt was asked to identify a young snake. It looked familiar, but he wasn't quite sure. So he picked it up. And it bit him. Not realizing he'd been bitten by a boomslang, nor the severity of its venom, he decided to document his symptoms. He was dead the next day. But is potent hemotoxic venom enough to rank these snakes on the charts? Boomslangs have massive real estate in Africa, but overlap some of the continent's biggest human settlements and millions of potential victims. Its venom rates most potent of all African snakes. Yet it's not aggressive, so bites are rare. But with close on 10 recorded human deaths attributed to boomslang bites, they take the lead. But they're not the only snakes linked to infamous deaths. An ancient African family. All worthy contenders. An icon of an ancient civilization. This snake has a reputation that spans human history. An emblem on the pharaoh's headdress. A symbol of strength and divine authority in ancient Egypt. Deaths under dubious circumstances. Assassination. Or suicide. Look no further. Case in point, Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt until 30 BC. Was the Egyptian cobra the weapon of choice for the most famous suicide? Or murder in history? And how does this ancient icon measure up today? Egyptian cobra territory spans mainly north of the equator, across Arabia, and overlapping with some of the region's biggest human populations. Over 6 feet long, they're Africa's second largest cobra. The showman of the snake kingdom. Collectors and entertainers love them. They've lived fairly comfortably alongside humans for centuries, but any large venomous snake regularly crossing paths with humans is an accident waiting to happen. With devastating results for thousands of people every year. When they bite, their neurotoxic venom is life-threatening. But how do they measure up against the competition? Our next contenders are just as potent, even bigger, and mean as hell. Perfectly at home right across Africa's waterways to its high-altitude forests. At almost 10 feet long, this is the continent's biggest cobra species, the forest cobra. And they've got it all. The looks, the size, the attitude, and the venom. with a combo of potent cyto and neurotoxins. A bite from one can maim or kill. They're excellent climbers and swimmers, and even hunt fish. But they aren't the only ones hunting Africa's waterways. The most dangerous snake is the one that crosses paths with humans most often. In many places, that's unavoidable, and conflict inevitable. Just a hint of a threat brings out the cobra in him. A rearing, hooded warning. They see the forest cobra just in time. Now, he's surrounded and defensive. These giant cobras are notorious for biting, even with very little provocation. It's why forest cobras are regarded as some of the most dangerous snakes in Africa. Size, attitude, and venom. Forest and Egyptian cobras have it all. While these two contenders are Africa's biggest cobra species, their venom isn't as potent as the worm-slung, and they're not as aggressive as the python. But with huge distributions overlapping heavily populated areas, deadly encounters with humans are rife, and they're both responsible for thousands of bites and hundreds of deaths every year. High scores in every category knocks out the competition, putting forest and Egyptian cobras in joint first place. They may rule the roost for now, but on the dry savannas of southern Africa lurks a wild card. Smaller, but loaded with potent venom, and an extra skill set the others don't have. Of all the venomous snake species in Africa, only 5 can spit their venom. 4 of them are cobras. And the 5th is the wrinkles. True cobras squirt venom with a sniper's sense of accuracy. But the wrinkles has to fling his, as venom drips down grooved fangs. The wrinkles rears and hurls its head, throwing venom in the general direction of its target. If it hits its mark, it's blinding. When enemies ignore a warning, a bite to man or beast could be deadly. But the wrinkles has a cobra competitor that takes things to the next level. Mozambique spitting cobras are the smallest members of their family, nowhere near as impressive as their cousins, with no apparent outstanding physical features, but common throughout southern Africa. These cobras operate mostly under the cover of darkness. They're not fussy with their food. Frogs, toads, rats, anything goes. even their own kind. A brown house snake fights back. But it doesn't stand a chance. These snakes don't have the fangs of a gaboon viper. The size and strength of the python, or the pizzazz of Africa's biggest cobras. But the Mozambique spitting cobra is much more dangerous. They're responsible for thousands of the most serious bites and venom-related injuries recorded in their range. But why? Mozambique spitting cobras are among the most dangerous snakes in Africa. Aggressive. Shoot first. Ask questions later. And he rarely misses anything within 10 feet. Most importantly, he's not shy and has no problem entering homesteads in search of mice, frogs, and geckos, endangering himself and all those he encounters. He bites and spits without warning or provocation. His victims, often young children. His venom destroys flesh, often leaving victims maimed for life, with horrific scarring, or short a digit or two. But just how deadly is he? And what of his faker sidekick, the Wrinkles? Wrinkles' venom is powerful, but they'll rather play dead than take on humans. Bites are rare, and deaths even more so, with livestock and pets their common victims. It's enough to boost him past the boomslang into a comfortable second position on the leaderboard. But with just a tiny distribution, he's up against some serious competition. Mozambique spitting cobras have a huge range, bringing millions of people into their direct firing line. They've got the big guns and a bad attitude. Destructive cytotoxic venom leaves thousands of bite victims horrifically maimed, and some dead, with more kills than the boomslang and Wrinkles put together, shooting them right above both, just shy of the top spot. They're deadly, but not deadly enough to oust the reigning giant cobras from their pole positions. So who will rule this formidable family? The answer may be lurking in the dry Kalahari, Namibia, realm of the Cape Cobra. They're half the size of the main competition, but they're loaded with venom that's drop for drop way more toxic than any other cobra in Africa. Just a pinprick can kill a man in minutes. Theirs is one of the harshest environments on Earth, with unbearable heat, very little shelter. Predators are plenty, but prey can be scarce, so every hit counts. Just the nick of her fang must kill. Like a fortress in the sky, sociable weavers' nests are predator-proof. Or are they? Hundreds of birds could be on the menu, so it's worth the effort. Stealth is key. Just 2 or 3 chicks will fill her up for now. She'll hang around the area for a while, but the heat is sweltering and she needs shelter. But not here. No use scaring off the next meal ticket. Cape cobras might live out in the desert, but they share living space with hundreds of small human settlements and farms. And they're dangerous to us because they're often difficult to spot. Their looks range from yellow gold to mottled brown, perfectly camouflaged for their environments. They're not shy either. They frequently enter homesteads in search of food or shade. Often with fatal consequences. Because the Cape cobra's powerful neurotoxic venom is fast-acting. Living in remote locations means bite victims are far from medical assistance. Anti-venom and treatment is required, and quick. But many don't make it to hospital in time. They deserve a place on the leaderboard, but can Cape cobras dislodge the dominating duo? The deadliest cobra venom in Africa, a tough guy attitude, and over 1,000 bites, resulting in over 100 deaths every year, have earned them a bad reputation. Top spot? No. While second place is nothing to sneer at, what more could it possibly take to oust their bigger cobra competitors off the top spot? Perhaps a firm favorite, tipped to rival both the Cape cobra and the deadly duo. From savannas and mountains to rainforests and deserts, Africa's most infamous elapids have the continent covered. And there's probably none more notorious than its most feared snake, the black mamba. Almost 15 feet of pure muscle, black mambas are Africa's longest venomous snake and the world's quickest. They can move faster than most humans can run. Black mambas are highly strung and aggressive. Armed with powerful neuro and cardiotoxic venom, specially designed to drop prey in flight. They don't want their meals to go. A mamba bite can be just as dangerous to humans. It can kill in minutes. While snakes and humans naturally avoid one another, sometimes they have little choice. As urban development eats into her habitat, she's got no option but to make herself at home. But it's not all bad. She's stealthy, an active hunter, always ready to chase after a quick meal. Just a scratch of a fang means death. On the plus side, she's free pest control. But no one wants a black mamba in their backyard. And that's when she becomes her most dangerous. But he's got to get her out of here. When threatened, like all wild animals, it's fight or flight. A cornered black mamba is deadly, jumpy, and quick to defend herself. She can strike 50 times faster than he can pull back. She's long enough to rear up and attack him at chest height. She holds up to 20 drops of venom per fang. 2 drops would kill the snake catcher. If she bites, he's got little chance of surviving without anti-venom, which has earned them their status as Africa's most dangerous snake. But are they the deadliest? With venom that can kill in 20 minutes, they're highly strung and aggressive. But they attack less frequently than you think. Fewer than 100 bites are recorded each year. Without anti-venom and emergency treatment, death is almost certain. But many make it to medical care and survive to tell the tale. In a shocking twist of fact versus folklore, the black mamba's reputation goes from mass killer to dangerous snake, and earns them a respectable but surprising 3rd place. With the black mamba firmly out of the running, this competition is now anyone's game. To the untrained eye, distinctive chevron patterns, keeled multicolored scales, and similar threat displays can be confusing, but it's all on purpose. Because one of these species is the deadliest on Earth. Meet the puff adder and the West African carpet viper. Spread right across the continent, the puff adder dominates the carpet viper's small sliver of West African territory. But both live alongside us. While big, puff adders blend in well. Ambush predators, usually hidden, unless moving from one hiding place to the next. They'll strike when seriously threatened, or when they're hunting. He's got no qualms entering a hut. A dark corner for an ambush. One of the fastest strikers. They can strike their own body length in a quarter of a second. up north. Their carpet viper cousins have similar tastes in prey, and have also adapted to living close to humans. But they're bolder and have size on their side. He's so small and blends in so well, he almost always goes unnoticed. Rural homesteads attract all kinds of critters. And they're all after food. Children are among his most common victims. Unsuspecting, unaware of hidden threats, with little inquisitive hands. He's nocturnal, but will bite night or day if disturbed. And unlike his puff adder cousin, he's got masses of attitude. And the guns to go with it. Potently cytotoxic with additional hemotoxic components. Carpet viper venom destroys tissue, organs, almost always resulting in loss of limbs or lives in hours. But how does this tiny viper measure up against Africa's venomous elite? A carpet viper bite kills in hours or maims survivors, leaving a trail of death and amputees across their territory. Puff adder venom is potent but works much slower. They're shy and less aggressive, while carpet vipers strike first, ask questions later. But it takes more than venom and attitude to win the title. The puff adder's territory is huge, and the carpet viper's tiny. But it's a venomous minefield known as the snake belt, for the highest number of snake bites in the world. Both species bite hundreds of thousands of people every year. Puff adders kill thousands. But overlapping some of the densest populations of people living in the poorest conditions, with little or no access to medical care. The West African carpet viper takes the title of Africa's deadliest snake, with tens of thousands of victims every year. The highest death toll of any snake in the world. Snakes might have a bad rep, but most bites on humans are defensive. They're just wild animals, equipped with incredible survival skills and weaponry, with important roles to play. Don't fear them. Instead, respect them. Keep your distance, and you will be rewarded with nature's own pest control.